May 27th, 1940. Dunkirk, France. The British Army is collapsing. 300,000 men are trapped on the beaches, waiting to be evacuated or killed. German forces are closing in. The situation is desperate. Chaos everywhere. And in the middle of this disaster, one British officer is playing bagpipes on the beach. Not hiding, not running, not even shooting. Standing in full view of German positions, playing "Will Ye No Come Back Again" on his bagpipes, while bullets crack through the air around him. The retreating soldiers think he's lost his mind. The Germans think he's some kind of psychological warfare. He's neither. He's just Lieutenant Jack Churchill. And this is actually pretty normal behavior for him, because Jack Churchill doesn't fight World War II like everyone else. While other soldiers carry rifles and grenades, Jack carries a Scottish broadsword and a longbow. While others duck for cover, Jack charges screaming with bagpipes. While others follow the rules of modern warfare, Jack fights like he's in a medieval siege. And somehow, impossibly, he survives. More than survives. He becomes one of the most decorated British officers of the war, leading some of the most dangerous commando raids in history, capturing 42 German soldiers single-handedly and escaping from multiple POW camps. This is the story of Mad Jack Churchill, the man who proved that you can bring a sword to a gunfight and win. The officer who said, "Any officer who goes into battle without a sword is improperly dressed." And the warrior who might be the most insane, brave, and effective soldier in the entire Second World War. Let's start with who Jack Churchill actually was, because his background explains a lot about why he fought the war like a lunatic. John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Churchill was born in 1906 inches, Hong Kong, to a wealthy British family. He was educated at the Royal Military College, graduated as an officer, and should have had a conventional military career. But Jack Churchill was not a conventional person. Before the war, he was a professional bagpipe player, not as a hobby, as an actual career. He represented Britain in bagpipe competitions. He also worked as a model and a movie extra. He appeared in The Thief of Baghdad in 1924. He was also an accomplished archer who'd won national competitions. And somewhere along the way, he developed an obsession with medieval weapons and Scottish culture, despite not being Scottish. When World War II started in 1939, Jack was 33 years old and had left the army to pursue his various eccentric interests. But war meant opportunity, and Jack immediately volunteered. He wanted action. He wanted adventure. He wanted to fight. The British Army didn't quite know what to make of him. He showed up to training carrying a Scottish broadsword, not a ceremonial sword, an actual combat weapon with a 35-inch blade. When asked why, he gave his famous response: "Any officer who goes into battle without a sword is improperly dressed." His fellow officers thought he was joking. He was not joking. Jack Churchill never joked about weapons. He also carried a longbow, the same type of weapon English archers used at Agincourt in 1415. He practiced with it constantly, maintaining the skill level of a competition archer. When people pointed out that bows were obsolete in modern warfare, he'd say that bullets were loud and inaccurate, arrows were silent and, in his hands, lethal. Again, people thought he was being eccentric. He was being completely serious. Jack's first taste of combat came in France in 1940, and this is where the legend really begins. He was part of the British Expeditionary Force that was supposed to stop the German invasion. That obviously failed, and the British Army was retreating to Dunkirk for evacuation. But Jack Churchill doesn't retreat like normal people. During the retreat, his unit was ambushed by German soldiers, while everyone else dove for cover and returned fire with rifles. Jack pulled out his longbow, nocked an arrow, and shot a German sergeant through the chest from 30 yards away. That was the last recorded longbow kill in military history. The Middle Ages and the Machine Age met for one brief moment, and the Middle Ages won. When his unit finally reached Dunkirk, Jack didn't immediately evacuate. He stayed on the beach, playing his bagpipes to boost morale, while German artillery shelled the beaches. He claimed later that the music calmed the men. The men claimed later that the music was terrifying because it meant Mad Jack was nearby, which meant something crazy was about to happen. Eventually, Jack was evacuated to England with everyone else. The Battle of France was lost, but Churchill's war was just beginning. The British Army was reorganizing, forming specialized commando units for raids on German-occupied territory. These weren't regular soldiers. These were volunteers for the most dangerous missions imaginable. Small teams, inserted behind enemy lines, tasked with sabotage, reconnaissance, and generally causing chaos. Jack Churchill volunteered immediately, obviously. He was assigned to No. 3 Commando, and later became the commanding officer of No. 2 Commando. And this is where Jack really got to showcase his unique approach to warfare. In December 1941, Churchill led a raid on the German garrison at WWII, Norway. The mission was to destroy fish oil factories that were producing glycerin for German explosives, and to capture or kill as many Germans as possible. The standard approach would be a silent nighttime insertion, plant explosives, withdraw quickly. Jack Churchill had a different plan. His commandos landed in broad daylight, and Jack led the charge, playing March of the Cameron Men on his bagpipes, while carrying his broadsword and a rifle. The Germans were so confused by what they were seeing that they hesitated for crucial seconds. Who charges a fortified position playing bagpipes? What kind of psychological operation was this? By the time they started shooting back, Churchill's commandos were already in close combat range. Jack personally led assaults on multiple German positions, using his sword because, in his words, in close quarters, a blade is more reliable than a gun that might jam. The raid was a complete success. The factories were destroyed. The commandos captured 98 Germans and killed another 150. Churchill himself was credited with capturing several prisoners at sword point. The man literally walked up to German soldiers with a broadsword and demanded their surrender. And they surrendered. The image of Mad Jack from this raid became legendary. Photographs show him wading ashore with his sword drawn, bagpipes under his arm, leading his men into battle like some kind of time-traveling Highland warrior. The Germans started calling him the Mad Englishman with the Sword. His own men called him Fighting Jack or just Mad Jack. But Norway was just the beginning. In July 1943, Churchill led a raid on the Italian island of Sicily. His objective was to capture a German observation post that was directing artillery fire on Allied positions. The post was on top of a fortified hill, defended by about 50 German soldiers, multiple machine gun nests, and had clear fields of fire in every direction. A frontal assault would be suicide. A siege would take too long. Command expected Churchill to scout the position and report back so they could plan a proper attack with air support and artillery. Jack Churchill decided to attack immediately with 43 men. That night, he led his commandos up the hill in complete darkness. When they were spotted, instead of retreating, Churchill stood up, drew his broadsword, played a note on his bagpipes to signal the attack, and charged directly at the German positions. The Germans were so startled by this lunacy that their return fire was disorganized. Churchill's men stormed the first machine gun nest before the Germans could properly react, then the second, then the third. In the confusion, Churchill personally captured 42 German soldiers. 42. He did this by running around with his sword, shouting in German, which he'd learned before the war, and being so aggressive and fearless that the Germans assumed they were surrounded by a much larger force. By dawn, the observation post was captured. Churchill had lost only 1 man wounded. The Germans had lost the position and 42 prisoners. And command was trying to figure out how Jack Churchill had, once again, done something that should have been impossible. For this action, Churchill was awarded the Distinguished Service Order. It was his second DSO. He'd eventually earn the Military Cross as well. But awards weren't why Jack fought. He fought because he genuinely loved combat. He once said, "If it wasn't for those damn Yanks, we could have kept this war going another 10 years.